everybody, welcome to the Alt Tab Live Show. Today, Steve and I are dragging ourselves up from puddles of useless goo to talk to you about the awesome event we were at last night.
Green goo, shooting and streams, which we'll get to in a little bit. Yes, so as you can tell, I'm wearing my Game 24 shirt. And actually, Jenny, because it's unrelated, but it is a really cool shirt, you guys might even recognize it. That's the fist pie, right?
It's fist bump pie face.
Fist bump pie face? So that looks a little bit like a ginger gentleman that we know, named Fractal Josh. That's actually his official name.
This is a commemorative t-shirt of the time that he hit Linus in the face with a pie and fist bumped Luke.
and or when he paid Luke to do it. Smack! So yes, but Game 24 is a recent event that NVIDIA is actually still celebrating. You guys can't hear us? We're going to bump up the audio while we do that. Before I get into the meat of things, I'm just echoing every single thing Rachel tells me right now. We're going to fix that audio for you guys. Sorry about that. But on the side, here is one of the images. This one's actually from one of our Twitter followers, Robin, which is out in, actually it slipped my mind right now where he's at. Amsterdam? No, not Amsterdam. Robin, if you're in the chat room, tell us where you are, because I just completely blanked on it. But he tweets out that it's not so visible, but this is the line for Game 24. Let me shrink that down a little bit so you guys can actually see it. Yes, so that's quite the line. Looks awesome though.
Yeah, that location looks really cool. Where is he at?
That's what I just said. I can't remember. I
think he said he was
Sweden?
going to the one in
Switzerland?
Germany.
Germany. Oh, okay, fantastic. So he lives in Switzerland or something like that. But he obviously Sweden, and he drove to Germany, right? So that's the case. And yes, that's awesome. I can't wait to see more pictures, Robin. So if you're somehow hear about this, please post some more pictures, and we will favorite them and show them to everybody here. But aside from that, one important thing about Game 24, here's one image of it here. This is actually as you walk up.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to kind of describe where we are here for Game 24?
This is at the Santa Monica Airport Hangar 8, and I guess they let the hangar out for events and things like that, and it was kind of perfect, really. I didn't feel like it was overwhelmingly crowded with people.
Air conditioning, too.
There's air conditioning. They had everything. The catering was awesome. Everything about the event was really well executed, and the DJ.
Oh, DJ was awesome.
DJ was excellent.
Yeah, I had a good time with that.
I think he's also the DJ that NVIDIA hired for E3, and he was good there too. So.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Do you remember his name? Because I can't recall.
Jacques.
Jacques?
Jacques.
He's making this up.
Nope.
Of course you would remember that name. Of course you would.
I only remember it because Q from Game Crate and I were like, who is this DJ? Who is this DJ? And then it said it on the back of his laptop. I'm like, I think that's his name.
If I had to take a guess, or he stole someone named Jacques' laptop and somehow DJing with it.
That's also what happens, you know, you tend to remember things more when you don't drink any of the free drinks,
Hey,
Steve.
the Coca-Cola was free. It was flowing. I was all over it. Yes, so that happened. But Jensen actually did a nice little keynote while he was there. We were able to, I guess, generate a couple different videos. Jenny made an awesome video, which should be releasing very soon on the YouTube channel.
I'll be setting it live tomorrow at noon. So you guys should get notification about that. But I put together a really nice video. It's going to be the shortened version of it. I wish I could show you the whole version, but basically I did like a timeline of all of the major GPU advancements in NVIDIA history, and then kind of ended it with a really high production value video of the 980, and awesome. Kyle shot it and edited it, so it has his, you know, kind of flair to it as well. He has a very, I think, specific style, and you can kind of spot it when Kyle shoots things. Anyway, really good. So yeah, we got to participate, and
we did some coverage, obviously the way you guys would expect it to be. You know, we jump in the hot seat, talk to a couple of fans that were there too. And in fact, we got a special interview with with Jenny by one of the people who were in line with us. It was, anyways, you guys will see it.
Yeah, we played around a lot. It was fun.
Quite a bit, actually. Then got a chance to talk with Jeff Fisher, who is the Executive Vice President at NVIDIA, basically #2 in charge right next to Jensen. And actually, we both had the opportunity to meet Jensen, which was
that
very
was
cool.
really excellent. I wasn't expecting it, and I think he's definitely the biggest person in terms of his overall influence of many, many different technologies. I mean, NVIDIA reaches into so many different realms of our lives that we don't even really think about. You know, they've won Emmy Awards and Emmy Awards and Oscars, Academy Awards for their involvement in digital rendering for film. I had no idea until I started doing the research. Also, medical advancements, 3D ultrasounds. If any of you or your wives have gotten a 3D ultrasound, you can thank NVIDIA for that. And so meeting Jensen, the guy who's kind of, you know, the driving force of that company, I think he's probably the biggest celebrity, the biggest influencer that I've ever met, and probably, you know, likely to meet in my life. So that was a big moment, and I was really happy I had something intelligent to say at that time.
And if you guys want to check that out, they're going to be streaming here for a bit longer at game24.nvidia.com, I believe. They have an event schedule, but for some reason it's not showing up here. Yes, so probably until 5 o'clock PDT, and right now it's 3, so about another hour and 50 minutes that they'll be streaming. So yes, but I'll go back to our pictures here because they sort of tell the story. Being that you guys probably already heard about this, Maxwell GPUs were announced. That is the successor to Kepler from NVIDIA. We took some pictures and, so...
Steve actually decided to crash someone else's live stream. He has no shame.
Yeah, it's the Nerdist live stream. They were doing coverage for Game 24. And actually, if you look at the bottom left corner here of the frame, there's all these different video streams that are actually playing. You could click on them while it was live and pick a different frame. This is actually Ron Christensen and Lee, PC Junkies Lee. He does, you know, a lot of our mods over here, and we love talking with him. They're also up against, I think it's Travis, and I forgot the other guy's name, but it's basically two different teams. It's Mod 24, so it's a simultaneous event happening during Game 24, just to give you one more thing to look at for the next 24 hours when they first started the next 24 hours. Also, Linus and Luke were hosting this competition, so awesome. It was something else to look at, but this basically was the start of the stream, and I was screwing around a little bit. I saw that she was going to do a live stream. She was just grabbing people from the crowd, and so I was kind of meekly standing there just waiting for her to pick me, and everybody kept moving away, so I'm like, I'll do it. She's like, what's your name? I'm like, Steve. I'm just letting her kind of control the conversation and be stupid. But she eventually gets to the point like, all right, well, Steve, are you excited about what's happening inside that hangar? And I was like, yes, but because I work for Newegg, I kind of already know what it's about, so I can't tell you. But yes, the things I'm excited about are awesome. And I already knew that Jensen was going to speak, so I kind of spilled the beans early on that. I didn't realize it wasn't something we were supposed to say, so I said, yeah. She's like, what are you looking forward to? I'm like, oh, anytime Jensen's going to talk to me, I'm always excited to hear what he has to say. And she's like, oh, yes, we've actually heard Jensen might be speaking. And I was like, oh, crap. She probably just got told in her IFD that she needs to cover for that.
Shameless Steve. But you know what Steve didn't do? He didn't plug our show or our channel.
I did plug Newegg.com, though. I did do that. I was trying to make it as short as possible and not be a commercial. Like, I didn't want it to, you know, I was just trying to have fun with their stream.
In other news, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of that picture, you can see my knees.
Oh my God, those are Jennifer's knees. I recognize them. They are the same here, covered in denim here, but they're bare. And Rachel's knees, actually. Rachel's knees are. Sorry, Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. You know what I just realized? I never took a picture in front of the stupid sign that's back there.
You know what I just realized? When you cut your collar off your shirt, it makes it much harder to wear a mic.
Yeah, at least you're not wearing a V-neck, and it's just even lower. Yeah, so that happened at the beginning. Here's a picture of the inside of the hangar on the opposite side of the wall that we were filming on just then on the last picture. And everybody's looking onto the stage where at this particular point Tom Peterson is throwing shirts out there and kind of entertaining the crowd the way Tom does. He's awesome at that. And then we jump up to Jensen starting the keynote speech. Now, he starts off by announcing Maxwell, which I'm not sure if I have a slide for Maxwell. Okay, jumping into the first thing about Maxwell, we'll get there in just a moment. But basically announcing Maxwell, woohoo, 980, 970, everybody's excited, and the whole world goes wild, because this is being live streamed, right, around the world in all these different locations. The first thing they mention here, I don't have the slide before it, but basically, imagine this is Grid 2 being played, and the pink area is the area that's actually getting compressed between frames, I want to say, but basically it's an example of how they're reducing memory bandwidth traffic. And it's actually being reduced by 30% using Maxwell's architecture. And this basically means that the pink stuff is the stuff that it might be the opposite, it might be the other part is changing. But basically they're dealing only with the stuff that's the delta, the change in each frame-to-frame image.
The pink stuff is everything they've compressed.
Yes, exactly. But it has to do with the way that they deal in the change with each frame. So I couldn't remember if the main portion is changing the pink or the opposite portion, because that's the new update. Yeah, the bigger portion is the one that's not changing, I think. But anyway, that being said, moving forward to the next slide. This is your favorite section.
I loved this. Love this grass demo.
So why don't you go ahead and explain what this one was? Because it's grass, obviously.
Right, it's grass, but basically they're working with the responsiveness of individual blades of grass, and so this is applicable a lot of places, not just grass, obviously. So in video games and movies, in any kind of graphic elements, you need a way to control how those things respond to other elements in their environment. So wind, sunlight, green blocks getting thrown at it. Anything that they turned up on this demo that impacted the grass happened in real time, and it also happened correctly because each blade of grass was given a specific value. And
interacting with each other.
And an interacting rule.
It could fold if you stepped on it the way they threw these.
Right, so they throw these blocks out on it, and the blocks leave indentation in the grass the way they would, because the blocks all have a specific weight value. And what was the grass, which...
Oh, I nicknamed it Grass Simulator 2014, but it's
under the GameWorks library. Yeah, so this is one of the GameWorks.
It's turf effects.
The turf effects from the GameWorks thing. And they could increase the shadow in the grass, but each blade of grass was individually animated and rendered for that whole field. So they zoomed out on the field and they zoomed in on the field. They turned the wind up, and the grass would all respond.
Change the lighting source too, circle it around it. Yeah, it was really cool. And probably one of I guess the tone of all of this is that this is the first time they've been able to up the performance from the prior architecture to the current architecture. And I don't remember when the last time they did it was, but basically in quite a while. Maxwell basically gives 2x performance per watt to Kepler. And basically because it's also more efficient, because we were talking about the 750 not too long ago being so much more energy efficient, that also means it's generating less heat, which means that you're going to have a higher delta for overclocking because it has a lot more room to get hotter. So that's awesome. So let's jump into the next one. I'm not sure if, we don't really need to talk about this because MFAA isn't exactly new, but they're just explaining here how if you were to compare MFAA to MSAA, the difference is that you would get twice the performance and a look that's almost exactly the same. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but essentially they're showing you here frame n-1 is the frame before, frame n is the frame after, and what they're doing is they're sampling frame n-1 twice and then frame n twice, and for a total of 4 times sampling, but only having to do it twice for each image and then creating a new one, therefore giving you 4x, and basically is able to do it twice as fast. That was probably really convoluted. I'm so sorry.
This translates to smoother edges in games, and they actually used a Portal, a window in Portal as an example, and you could see how without it on, without anti-aliasing on, the edges were very jagged, and in game, you know, when you're like scanning things, all those jagged edges create distortions in the image, and if you're playing an FPS or something like that, it's very distracting and makes your response time much slower. Yeah. Because you can't really see very clearly what you're aiming at, you know, next thing to next thing.
Right.
And so this edge smoother, this anti-aliasing basically works better to smooth those edges and keep those jagged, you know what I'm talking about, like those disconnects in the lines from happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome, and it's also able to do it a lot faster. So, main point. This is just giving a comparison of what they're trying to do to increase the 4K experience for those of you out there that don't have a 4K monitor. This actually applies to you. So I'm just going to move forward and talk a little bit about, well, my slides are out of order, but basically this is the difference in speed of frame rate. So if you had a Kepler GPU that was operating with MSAA, you'd get 25 frames. If you had a Maxwell one, you'd get 41. And if you turn on MFAA, it would jump up another 11 frames for Maxwell, giving it 52. So yes, so moving forward, Maxwell, twice the performance of Kepler here. VR Direct, these things are all completely out of order. This is really annoying right now. What did you do? When I uploaded them, I must have this reading them a little bit out of order, or maybe when I saved them out of order because I was in like such a rush to get it out. So I'll bounce around a little bit. But I think one of the coolest things here is this is an example of dynamic super resolution, or DSR. And what it's doing is it's actually rendering the game in 4K and then downscaling it to 1080p or 1920 by 1080. So that is basically like, I don't need your stinking anti-aliasing. I'm just going to make it way bigger than what your monitor can do and then shrink it down and just provide for you the exact size of your current monitor, which is, wow, that's awesome. And they were suggesting, of course, that this technology could be expanded as we grow out of 4K too. So those of you out there that don't have a 4K monitor, but you're like, oh, I don't care, I'm still going to buy the 980, I still want that, then that was the main reason I would always recommend people maybe not to go for the highest end, because you don't need it for a 1080 screen. But now it's like, wow, I can take advantage of what the hardware could produce for a 4K screen and still apply it to some performance increase, or at least an image quality increase on a 1080p screen.
Yeah, I really liked that, and I liked how they could actually show the benefits difference, and it's almost like you're blind and then suddenly you can see how different it is. Like that guy's costume in you know, the standard on the 680 with the Kepler graphics card and stuff, you could hardly tell the details that's there. So I think for a lot of us, we just assume that those details just aren't there. But then you turn on that with the 9, and then wow, he's got a bag on. He's got like like fabric dimensions, and
it's supposed to just
all
be
of the
like
grass and everything.
Yeah, it's supposed to just be like higher res, so it's probably like,
well, it affects the depth of field as well.
Yeah, it would probably do that as well, I think. Of course, because everything's completely out of order, I'm jumping a little bit ahead into what's called VR Direct, which is they have been working with VR, which you knew about because you've done not even just your research. Like, if I'm not,
we
you want to tell them a little bit about it?
We did a Yolk'd story on it about maybe not 4 months, maybe not. I don't think it was quite that long ago, but probably 3 months ago, we did a Yolk'd story on it when they announced that they were developing their own VR. So I kind of suspect that they are probably going to head towards the consumer market with it and maybe develop their own VR goggles. At the demo, we were using the Oculus, but I don't think NVIDIA would be too far behind doing their own.
Yeah. So
they definitely have the capabilities. You know, there's no doubt in it.
Well, I mean, anytime I can get more out of my graphics card, anytime they can provide more value for my purchase, that's gonna be one more check mark that I can go, oh, this is another reason why I want this.
Right, and they'll definitely make it G-Sync capable, and it'll be all part of their whole little ecosystem of...
It'll be a Shield VR helmet.
Maybe. It might be. It might be a Shield tablet VR helmet, and you would just plug
your tablet in.
Tablet right into the front.
That'd be really cool. So yeah.
The resolution isn't quite there.
Yeah,
but the Shield tablet does have the highest. Isn't it the highest?
1900 by 1200, I want to say it is, which is higher than 1080p, but I don't know how high we can get with VR yet, or what's available yet. It just depends on the panel, right?
I was just thinking about the tablet, like in terms of, because I remember when it first came out, it was like one of the highest, if not the highest, resolution tablets available.
I can't recall.
But I don't recall. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, if you guys know more about the tablet than I do.
Yeah, you also want it to be really small anyways if it's going to be close to your face. If it's really big, then it has to be a bigger, to take full use of the entire panel, it would have to be further away to fill up your peripheral vision and not just waste pixel space. So VR Direct, as you guys can see, they were working on it being obviously stereo reproduction, low latency, and auto asynchronous warp, which is actually pretty much the same thing as Oculus's own technology called time warp, which essentially the difference here is just that it's NVIDIA hardware accelerated, but I think I'll probably get into that in just a moment a little bit more.
Yeah, he talked about that too.
Yeah, he definitely did. So GFE profiling, they're going to have GeForce Experience profiling for your virtual reality headsets, which is actually really, really, really helpful because there's so many little things you have to do with the DK2 just to get it to work that it's really not consumer yet, hence it being the dev kit. But yeah, that would really help me to just be able to just double click on an EXE and just GFE handles everything for me. I would be really happy with that. So we were talking a little bit, you and I, about the actual input lag and why that's so important to users. So here's the slate that they gave us, or the slide that they gave us, and it started with just this. So I'm kind of skipping ahead in the slides, but it's faster if you actually explain it from here.
Yeah, so right now, if you have an Oculus dev kit like Steve does at home and you're using it with a Kepler GPU, best case scenario, all things running seamlessly, you're looking at a 50 millisecond lag. Probably more. Most likely you're looking at like a 60 to 70 millisecond lag, which is why nausea, motion sickness, all those things are happening. But that comes from 5 milliseconds of the game, the OS needing 15 milliseconds, the GPU needing 17 milliseconds, and then the actual display, what is it like? 13 milliseconds. So now they've developed technologies to work on that compression better, and actually their first pass at it, they got it down to 40 milliseconds, and Jensen said, you know, if you're using virtual reality at 50 milliseconds of lag, you're not having a good time. A good time happens like around 30 milliseconds of lag, 30
and
to 40.
2 shots.
And 2 shots.
Just kidding.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Not if you talk to Oculus. They don't want people drinking alcohol and using their device. But anyway,
No.
so a couple more passes, they got it down to 30 milliseconds of lag, and then finally they got it all the way down.
You'll have to just tell them because I don't have the last two.
They got it all the way down to 25 milliseconds of lag, and that was due to a process which allowed them to actually run a few of those processes, some of the game and some of the OS, before the VR connection happened.
It was due to asynchronous warp, which basically boils down to, instead of having the GPU re-render a whole new frame or series of frames, right? When you're wearing VR, it has to constantly adjust for your perspective in a scene, in a 3D scene. So because the camera is moving, then it has to redraw anyways, right? Even if you just jiggle your head for a second just to resettle the headset. So what asynchronous warp and what time warp both do is take into consideration the perspective you're looking from, so that, like, your head right now, if you were a 3-dimensional image and if it was to move slightly because my head moved a little bit, I don't know what's behind you, but if it's a small movement, it just kind of fills in a little bit with of the color, but actually just physically move the pixels over. So from my perspective, I just see your head kind of move a little bit, but it didn't have the overhead that it would take to redraw the whole image over and over again. It just adjusted, from my perspective, everything in the room slightly shifted.
Right. So part of that also is they're trying to get predictive with how you're going to move your head.
Yeah, that's true too.
What you're going to look at next, so that they can design it so that it shows you and refreshes those portions of the screen faster. Eventually, though, I think that it'll just track your eye movements.
That would be fantastic. Just to move when my eyes move would be probably the ultimate.
That's definitely the way it's going.
I think if I actually just had like a small jack-in port on the back of my neck and it was a long metal type spike, and it would make like a noise like choomp and shink and pull it out, and then I get like this metal chair where I could just kind of sit like this.
So Steve wants to be in the Matrix.
Yes.
Steve just wants
like
to be
the
in
Matrix. That'd be great. Why do my eyes hurt, Jenny? Because it's the first time you've ever used them.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I dropped the ball on that.
That's okay. Let me kind of bounce this around a little bit. So, where's the iRay stuff? There it is. Okay. So here's a Cornell box. It's got AMD red on the left, NVIDIA green on the right, and I think they originally had Intel blue on the balls, but then they were like, "We have blue balls. We don't want blue balls, especially in our demo." I'm sorry, that's probably not what happened, but that's just what I imagine when I see this. That was kind of the joke we were having in there.
Yeah, I kept elbowing Steve. Yeah. He kept making jokes his whole speech. I'm like actively listening and trying to digest everything that's being told to me. I'm like, shut up!
Yeah, I'm making notes too.
Quit being 12 right now.
It's like when you're in class and you see something funny, you have to tell somebody. You got to tell your friend that's sitting right next to you. You can't not do that. Okay, so I-ray versus VXGI. So this is an example of I-ray, which actually requires, well, obviously it creates a very beautiful image first off, and it's using light to do that, and probably ray tracing and some other things in there too. I don't fully understand I-ray, but I know that it does take 150 GPUs 3 seconds to produce one frame. So quite a bit of time in that. Why have a supercomputer running something like that when you could use VXGI, which is voxel global illumination, to do all the lighting effects? It'll bounce indirect, diffuse, specular, and reflections, as well as area lights, and it's going to be available for different engines, including Unreal Engine 4, which you probably could have guessed. In fact, most of the slides that I saw popping up were all like available for UE4, so I just kept thinking to myself, Unreal is going to look amazing. So yeah, so let me see what actual images I have here, because I thought I had the second one with the. No, of course not. I don't have exactly what I need at all. So there's another image, and it looks really cool, and it uses VXGI, but I don't have it because I got caught up with the moon crap that was happening, and I was like,
not to say that there was a crap on the moon.
Yes, there was no crap on the moon.
There might have been.
Okay, so there's a thing.
We don't know. They may have crapped.
So there's a thing that they proved using VXGI, and that was that the moon landing picture that is highly contested really happened, which I'm not a tinfoil hat wearing person, so I was like, yes, I already know. And like as he was doing it, I'm like elbowing Jenny, like, Jenny, I know why this is. So like he'll say, all right, so there's 2 main contested points of this particular picture. Is there's no starlight, and if you're on the moon, you should always have starlight because there's no atmosphere to hide it during the day when sunlight diffuses in the atmosphere. And if he's in the shadow of the lander, why isn't he completely blacked out because of the light being on the other side of the lander being captured and just him being in the shadow of the lander? So I was like he says the starlight thing. I'm like, Jenny, it's probably due to aperture because it's so bright, right? Because there's no atmosphere to diffuse the sunlight, so it's like super bright, and the moon's surface is probably very reflective, which you probably know because you look up in the sky and see a bright ass moon. Then the same thing happens when it comes to the look of the astronaut as he's jumping down. It's all really well lit because it's being reflected, it's being bounced off the surface. We use light bouncers all the time with film. So that was my second thing. And Jenny's like, yes, shut up. Like during the thing. So Jenny, can you explain what they were able to do with this simulation? Okay,
so we all know about aperture and f-stop on cameras and reflective surfaces, but what they actually did was they mapped the entire surface of the moon using texture mapping software they actually developed in conjunction with NASA for the original Mars lander. So NVIDIA helped NASA map the surface of Mars so that people at JPL could actually develop the next round of exploratory things to get sent to.
NVIDIA helped NASA. I'm just kidding, sorry. It just sounds so much more snotty that way. Like.
Anyway, so they mapped the moon surface, and using all the values that we know and we have studied the moon and stuff for what its mineral densities are and mineral makeups are and how those types of things reflect light. They wrote all that in, and then they went on to the actual suits and what were the suits made of and what were the reflective values of that fabric. And then they went on to, they remade the entire LEM, the entire thing. They just, made a new model of it.
Just 'cause.
And they, used all of the materials, digitized versions of all the materials that were actually used in the LEM.
Yeah.
Then they mapped the 84 million stars that were in the sky at that time in the specific location of the moon landing and started tweaking with it. And so they could say, all right, well, if there was stars, if the exposure was set so that we could perceive stars, what would the image look like? And they showed us that. And of course, it was completely blown out. You couldn't see anything except stars. So obviously, they had to change the aperture on the cameras. And I know this from, my dad and talking to my dad about this a lot. Kodak actually developed special film and special cameras that could withstand the radiation levels of the moon.
That's a good point.
And they were very, very expensive cameras. Actually, I think they were Leica cameras. Leica cameras and special Kodak film was developed for the moon landing, and they were trained how to use them and trained, you know, with what exposures and stuff they would have to set things at.
I'd love it if it was just like a Polaroid. Like, thrown in the air and it goes in orbit. Like, no! Take another one.
It's hilarious.
Sorry.
But they had this picture and they had one other picture, and that was the picture that the LEM, the actual video camera that was outside of the ladder, took of Buzz Aldrin coming down. And they, you know, there's some contested images in that too, but they just played with the light, and they were like, well, if the light was the way the conspiracy theorist says it was here, this is what the image would look like.
Blindingly light.
Yeah, and if the camera, if we move the LEM all the way around, we can see this is what's happening over on the other side of it. And because they did that whole rendering project, they were, you know, absolutely able to completely recreate the entire situation and all of the different elements that were active at that time, and I thought that was just fascinating.
That is really cool.
And you know, there you go. Someone spent a long, long time on that, proving what most of us already believe to be true.
Right, yeah, exactly. and it's probably because they already started with some of the equipment. They're like, what's something fun we could do that's relative to maybe some other purpose other than just gaming. But if I show you this picture, it's because you can't really tell the clear differences here between the two, other than the dude on the left looks like he's had too many Twinkies. This is due to perspective because I'm closer to the left side.
Yeah, I don't think Buzz Aldrin appreciates how much bigger they made his butt.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's the angle. It's perspective. I'm like way on the left side. But yeah, this is taken from my cell phone, so you can't actually see the difference. I could tell the difference looking at the picture only side by side, but it was a minor difference. And I think actually the one on the left, it was the gray boots. The grayness of the boots is actually what cued me to believe that it was digitally created.
Yeah, the boots and also the actual texture surface of the moon, because even though NVIDIA is good, they still haven't gotten that fine powder, like dust thing down yet.
Yeah, the fine powder, the good stuff. So I took this screenshot from apparently 12:23 last night from my phone, watching, oh, that's awesome, vacuum something is the password confirmed. Ignore the chat.
Steve,
but Lee, I didn't.
Not safe for work today.
Okay.
I'll tab away, everybody.
Well, we always have the little, anyway. So this is Lee, and then we have Linus. Paul's laughing in the background. What's happened? We see what they typed. Linus is interviewing Ron here, and he's part of the Mod 24 that I was mentioning to you before. If you guys don't know, this is sorry, I said Ron. What I meant was that's Lee, and this is Ron. They call themselves Team Mongoose. That's actually his Black Mesa build in the background. The thing is awesome. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to see the pictures of it, but it's really cool. And then there's Lee in his little studio slash garage slash workshop where he makes all the magic happen. Oh, and I completely, because nothing's in order. They had beer pong at NVIDIA, which I
didn't even see the beer pong.
Yeah.
I lost Steve for quite a while last night. Couldn't find him.
I was like,
apparently he was playing beer pong.
Yeah. I'm screaming at people who don't know who I am and going, let's do this. See, Rachel was there. She didn't see it either.
Beer pong.
You guys need to hang out with me, clearly, when we go to these parties, because
I'm trying to watch like a hamster when it's out of its cage. On the couch. Okay.
What's over there? What's in the DJ booth?
Rachel says that trying to hang out with Steve in an event is like trying to hang out with a hamster when it gets let out of its cage. You just can't keep track of it.
Yeah, they're on the inside of the cage. So these cups, by the way, and only because I find this fascinating, were biodegradable also, and I didn't think the fact that it's clear and it's solid.
Steve, how'd you find out that the glasses were biodegradable?
I was talking to the bartender. We had a little conversation. I was like, these straws are really weird. Are they biodegradable? He goes, yeah. I'm like, cool. The cups, though, were apparently also, and he blew me away by that. He's like, yeah, if you were to leave this in your car completely empty with no water in it in the heat, it'll just start to crumple up on itself. I was like, that's amazing. So I wanted to do that, but I forgot. By the time we left, it was just like we were leaving and had to rush.
You didn't mention to me that you wanted to go steal cups from the bartender either.
No, I would have just got another drink, but then you would have been like, no more drinks. We need to go. You're very clear. But I think at this point it might be time to do some Q&A now that it's been moved to.
We have moved Q&A to our Alt-Tab show.
Yes.
From Wednesdays because a lot of reasons, but one of the main one is that like as we get closer to Christmas and these big product releases, we need to have time on our schedule to do more product videos. So
yes.
Now we're gonna make Q&A a part of the Alt-Tab show. Hopefully sometime we'll have some cool graphic that can pop up during Q&A time. We're working on it. Okay. This question comes from Mark S.
Hello, Mark S.
Hi, Newegg team. I was just wondering if the i7-4790K would be compatible with a Z87 motherboard. Are they only compatible with the Z97 boards? Thanks, and keep up all the good work. Thank you, Mark. Steve's going to quickly Google that question for you.
Oh, it's actually BIOS update. BIOS update and you should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, BIOS update and you should be good. Barring it being some really weird motherboard factory that didn't do that. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. So pretty sure BIOS update and you should be good. Check out your manufacturer's website to make sure.
All right, this one comes from the Tech Nerd. He says, in your last video you said that Windows can detect when you change your hardware. Does that mean that every time I upgrade my GPU or something I need to buy a new copy of Windows?
No, but you have to be careful because there will be a time where you're like, oh, I upgraded my hard drive. Oh, I upgraded my, and you image yourself, you know, over to the other one. And then you upgrade your video card, and then you upgrade 2 other cards in there that you didn't normally have. You just pop them in. Yes, eventually Windows is going to be like, you need to reactivate. But no, it shouldn't remove the ability to use your Windows, but you will need to eventually reactivate it. It happens to me actually a lot, especially because I image. So it might be at a point 2 years prior where I just installed Windows and the original computer that it was originally installed on is totally different. Maybe the motherboard, the CPU are the same. And then I had to start finagling it with different software to image it and not have to worry about those changes. But yes.
All right, so this one is about, it seems like writing partitions in hard drives, but it comes from Moose. Moose says,
Moose.
Hey guys and gal. Question, is there a way or program to restrict your hard drive from reading or writing information? I ask due to the lack of M.2 SSDs in the market. I'm thinking of getting an 80 gigabyte for my Boost system and 120 gigabyte SSD for active game library, and I don't want miscellaneous programs to make their way onto the M.2. Thanks and great show. You're welcome, Moose.
Unless you want to hit this one. Okay, so I know that Windows is going to have a temp folder, and I know that it also has a memory that it actually writes to that you can move to a different location. But if you were just going to, like, first off, don't mess with Windows at all, that drive, unless you know what you're doing, unless you want to learn more about it, because I'm not going to try and explain anything like that here, mainly because I don't even do that. I don't think there's any necessity to. But what I usually do is if you want to do something like that, I set up an SSD and then I install stuff onto there. Things shouldn't be messed with on there unless you have like malware or something else that I'm not familiar with that would cause that. I mean, your antivirus will probably scan it from time to time, but reading an SSD never damages it. It's the writing and deleting that damages. Well, I don't even want to say damages. It limits the cycles. And even then, you really shouldn't be too worried about it, man. Like, Tech Report has done some really hardcore testing on how long hard drives or SSDs actually last after being written to, like hundreds of terabytes. You don't have to worry about it. They should last you at a minimum the warranty, and in some cases, depending on the warranty length, like if it's 3 years, it might even last 5 anyways, depending on your usage. So install what you're going to use, leave it there, don't uninstall it, and work with that. Did I understand his question properly? Is that all he was asking?
Yes, you did.
Okay, cool. Any other problem with that? Just email us back and reference that, and I'll try and give you a more succinct answer. I have a Twitter question.
Okay, yeah, let's.
It's the only one, so it's not much time to give you. But Sean Brocker asks me, he's the Gingerly Gamer, which is an awesome Twitter name. He says, would you do the Purge? If so, what would you do? So the Purge is like, unless they're describing a game version of the Purge, I think they're meaning the real Purge, the movie that just came out. Okay. So Sean,
I can see that.
Yeah, Sean, I guess retweet to me, and I will clarify. But if you are talking about the movie, I haven't seen it, but I get the premise. Basically, everybody like gets to kill each other for one day It's like ridiculous, right?
Yeah, for 24 hours, all
crimes.
crime.
Right.
There are no laws. All crime is allowed.
So like, I would hide. I would leave. I'm not a survivor in an environment like that. Like, I love zombie universe. I love that idea of like a completely anarchist environment, only because of how cool it would be to like walk into stores and like just grab shit and throw it around and not even care about it. I just dropped the S-bomb. Damn it. It would be really cool to be able to do that, but the reality is, in that world, just like Chris Hardwick says, I would just hang myself because there's no way I'm going to survive. I will totally end up being the slave to someone else's crew. I will never be able to handle it. Like, I don't have firearm training, proper firearm training.
Well,
I don't.
Most people don't.
Hunting.
Steve.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you want that? Like, do you know how to shoot a gun? Yes. Do you know how to clean a gun and maintain it? No. Shoot them. Like, I don't have the necessary skills to live in the.
As long as you're on Jenny's team, you'll be.
Yeah,
That's probably true.
I can clean and maintain a gun. And
That
shoot
you can
a gun.
hunt, and I think right, like you can do all the things necessary to live
Yeah.
off the land. Yeah, like I'm like, all right, if there's computers, I
Actually,
can maintenance them.
I've read a few books on living off the grid.
See, that's the
3 of
thing.
them.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you read Max Brooks' Zombie Survival Guide, that all of the survival skills he wrote about in that book, he based on actual survival necessities, like things you would need to survive. So if you've read that book or have that book, great, because it's all pretty much real. He talks about how to build a chemical toilet, how to sterilize water, you know, how to fortify a domicile. You know, some of it's a little silly, like, you know, when you're picking your mode of transportation, I think he landed on like horse or bicycle were best over anything that needs gas and has a motor or makes noise.
Yeah.
And also swords don't need to be reloaded. Pro
But-
tip. But
If you're not practicing, it's gonna be a while. The reload happens here.
yeah, exactly. That's why cardio, and that's why he's like, you know, how you spend your free time when you're not running from zombies is usually doing pull-ups.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
God, I would hate
Anyway,
that life. I hate pull-ups.
Anyway, I don't think laws of human beings, written by human beings, should govern our own moral compass. So I don't think that just because the government says, okay, today all crime is legal, that still doesn't make it okay to steal and kill somebody.
Even in a movie?
Even in a movie.
Oh.
And I think that's what that movie's about, right? It's the moral dilemma of do you kill or don't you kill?
I totally have not seen the movie, so I wouldn't know.
I just imagine that that's what it's about. But I don't
okay.
think you need the laws of anyone to govern whether or not you can be compassionate to another human being, or, you know, whether it's right or wrong to kill.
I probably would find a way to camouflage myself as if I was already dead.
Steve would go as a shrub.
Like a Benny Hill shrub?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Benny Hill shrub. That was always my favorite Benny Hill.
He'd just walk around, and then when he needs to disguise, he sits really still. He's just got this big, like, square shrub suit on, like he's Hedges.
I'm gonna look it up.
The barrel.
Yeah, exactly. It's a guy in the barrel. Isn't that
Aw.
a trope? Isn't that a video game trope? Guy in the barrel.
Yes, I think so.
Anyway.
Why is this? Oh.
What
that's
are you
not the-
doing?
I'm looking up the Benny Hill skit with the. Oh, that's.
All
Sam
right,
and
so
the
I have
Free.
a question.
Yeah.
This one's legit. It comes from Lamont Cranston.
Okay.
He asks, what can a standalone HTPC do or do better than a streaming media box like a Roku or Comcast? You know, what can they not do versus an HTPC? You know what? It all depends on how you build your HTPC. Kyle's HTPC is a legit gaming PC. It has a 680 Ti in it. It has an i5, Core i5 Intel overclocking CPU in it. It
Yeah.
has a gaming motherboard, and we actually had to use that system many, many times for a gaming system. So it really is up to you. What do you want it to do? It is great if you want to have an additional gaming system available in the house. Like if you have some friends over, you all want to have like a mini LAN together, you've got that there. Say you do live streaming and you want to have some friends over on your live stream, but you don't, they can't necessarily bring their hardware with them.
Right.
Your HTPC could double as an additional backup system. And I think that the more versatile you build any system, the better. If all you do, if you know you're never going to have buddies over, you're never going to use it for gaming, whatever, you can just build an AMD-based system with an APU. And then still, every once in a while when you want to do some gaming on it, it's still totally capable of handling that, as well as all of your video streaming and whatnot. So that's what I think. you know, plus when you build your own PC, you have a familiarity with the components, so if anything should go wrong, you can troubleshoot it much faster, replace those parts, what have you, versus something like a Roku or a Comcast that is kind of an all-in-one situation you might not be able to fix if something goes wrong.
You're going to be dependent on them, yeah.
Upgrading the storage capabilities of it and things like that.
Did you say a Chromecast? Was
Yeah.
that for the, I like Chromecast if you just want to watch like YouTube videos and you don't want to spend a ton of money. I really enjoy that, especially because they just added Twitch. Twitch has been added to the list of apps that are now working with Chromecast. So I know a lot of you out there are just like, hey, I don't really want to start up my system or my laptop or my whatever, and I want to watch on a bigger screen on my tablet or my phone, then you can use those two things to connect to their TV using a Chromecast for really inexpensive, like 35 bucks. So for that reason, I like Chromecast. In terms of an HD PC, obviously you're getting a ton more versatility, like Jenny said, depending on how you build it. For me, I just make another system. My wife hates it, but I'm just like, hey, I'm just going to make another computer because I want it to be able to be the best gaming system, but also hook up to my TV. So then I have two systems, two towers sitting next to my TV, which obviously is not the most efficient way or cost-efficient way to handle it. So yes. And I have a question from Dylan McIntyre. He's asking me, actually he's referring to the question he asked me last time, which is, so you said I wouldn't call Jenny J-Dog. What about Janae? Wait, no, it's Janae.
I would rather be called J-Dog than
Really?
any form of Janae
Yeah,
anything.
it's Janae, my bad. But yeah, but you hate the Janae. I think I did that the first time I ever met you.
Dude, I've been hearing it since 5th grade.
Yeah. Is that when that movie came out for you?
Yeah.
Wow. She's young. Earlier, I need to make a clarification too. MFAA was introduced with Maxwell, so I apologize. Although it is older technology, meaning that it's still anti-aliasing.
It's kind of based on another type of anti-aliasing that they used to do. It's an improvement of that. It's an old concept, but it's a new take on an old concept, I guess, is the thing. And also, it works really well.
It works well.
It works pretty well.
Pretty well, it works. What other
also,
questions?
Strider was correcting me that Kyle actually has a 650 Ti from EVGA in his HTPC, which I think is funny because, dude, when were you at our house?
Wait. Who? What is that? What did they say?
This is Strider. I'm just giving him a hard time. He probably just watched Kyle's video on it.
Yeah.
Kyle has an EVGA GTX 650 Ti boost in his HTPC. At least he did. I think that's still what he has in it, but he may have switched that card out for a PNY. I'm not 100% positive. I know that system has been cannibalized a few times for some videos, so
we take what we need.
We take what we need and then we put it back together.
Yeah, and we don't give it back. I was trying to do the pirate thing since it's Pirate Day today, but we'll get to that.
That's right. It's Pirate Day.
We'll get to that. That was a little foreshadowing, but I'm going to answer Aaron Hunt's question here. He wants to know.
This is the last one.
Last one? Okay. Are you going to get the iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus? If I was going to get the iPhones, it'd be the 6 Plus. Right now, until I take the time to go to an Apple store and actually play with it myself and spend some time with it, I'm probably not. I'm probably going to get an Android phone because I still feel like it's the better phone for me, and although that camera is probably better, in fact it's been touted as a much better camera in terms of the pictures that it can take, I still don't love it. I still don't I don't feel like it's worth it to me. A micro SD card is almost the main selling point for me. Having the ability to pop in and out movies or whatever else I want. Let's say I don't bring my tablet, I bring my phone. I want that option to just have a small booklet of SD cards. And
well, also, if you have the tablet and the phone, it means you can take your external storage out of your phone and put it in your tablet. So say you want to transfer your pictures really quick, or just show somebody something on a bigger screen, you can do that quickly, or you can just obviously people are like, well, you can Bluetooth it off the phone to the tablet. Yeah, you can do that too. But all of that is dependent on connectivity and other things, and I just feel like sometimes the physical storage is still better. And also I think that I still don't like how Apple is like, we own everything that's on your device.
They're big on that.
I don't
They're really big on that. I really, honestly, What would make me the happiest is if I could use my phone with a Chromecast in, because we go on trips a lot, right? So we go to the hotel room, to have a Chromecast and maybe bring a small AP, a small, now I just forgot what the wireless AP stands for. Access point. Jeez, man, where's my brain right now? It's Friday, and the show's almost over. That's probably why I'm so tired.
We got 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, woo! So yeah, if I had an AP that I could connect into, that I could guarantee to get a connection into the wireless Wi-Fi in the hotel room, then I could use a Chromecast and my phone and be able to connect in and basically transfer everything to my TV. That's actually the thing I'd prefer to do. Or obviously, if I had an Android phone, I could just use maybe an MHL connector to go into HDMI on a TV and then just play it straight from that. That would work too. There's also an HDMI adapter that I have for my phone that works because I have an iPhone. So, but I would prefer not to do that because I want the phone close to me at night. I don't want it to be. I don't want to get up after I'm tired and shut everything off. And it's annoying. It's really annoying. Got another one?
For me, yeah, this is gonna be our last. This is for reals, our last question. I just happened to click on one more, and I was like, oh no, this is a great question. We have to answer this.
Okay.
It's from Jason B.
Jason. Oh yeah, I love his last name. I almost said it out loud. That's awesome.
He asks, I will be moving across the country along with my desktop computer, currently in a Fractal Design R4 case.
Nice.
Do you have any advice for ensuring the safety of the hardware and any stored data for such a move? Yes, unplug and repack everything you possibly can in its box, and if you don't have the factory box, unplug and pack it in anti-static bags, in padded boxes, and keep it safely and accessible to you. And don't let it come in contact or be left anywhere where you're not going to be able to keep it climate controlled. So you definitely, at the very, very minimum, want to take your graphics card out and pack that separately. And
depending on the size of the CPU cooler you have, that too. If it's a water cooler where the radiator is already mounted, just make sure everything's screwed in nice and tight, and then check it again when you receive it because all those things can get loose. I think the PSU is probably okay as long as it's secure too. Check the screws on that. Take out the hard drives. Those typically, even in trays, will pop out and fly over the place and destroy things. So you really want anything that could come detached removed. And I usually, for us, when we ship systems, it's the air cooler for the CPU, the video card, and the hard drives. So
yeah, we pack those all into their own boxes, which is why even though it's kind of annoying, you should keep all of your original boxes if you built your own PC.
Yeah,
makes moving a breeze.
It really does.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump through a couple of cards.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes left, so.
Oh, we got this.
Time to hustle.
We totally got this. All right, so we're sort of shy on stories, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the specs of the Maxwell 980 and 970. So 2048 CUDA cores, base clock of 1126, and a boost clock of 100 more at 1216. There's a good likelihood it's going to have a larger overclocking headroom than what the base clock and boost clock are actually showing here. So you should be able to overclock it quite a bit more. Your mileage may vary though. 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory on a 256-bit interface and giving you a memory bandwidth of 224 gigabytes per second. And here's an example of one of them. This is Gigabytes. This is the highest clock factory overclocked GPU that you can purchase right now. And that is obviously Gigabyte, and thanks to their WindForce cooler, it's actually quite beastly. We actually have one here somewhere.
Oh, the Gigabyte one? That's the 970.
Oh, it's probably still plugged in somewhere. Yeah, you can tell it is too because the heat pipes are so much smaller. Okay, well, whatever. We have one here, but the core clock jumps up to 1228, and then the boost clock is 13. Yeah, you can feel that thing. Oh, you don't even have to take it out. That's with 3 minutes left. So that's a beast. Then jumping over the 970, you drop down to 1664 CUDA cores, a base clock of 1050 and a boost clock of 1178. Then looking at the memory configuration, you also get 4 gigabytes of memory, GDDR5 of course, 256-bit memory interface bandwidth, or width, and then the memory bandwidth is 224 gigabytes per second. Yet another example, fastest one right now that I could find was the Gigabyte model in terms of the factory overclock version. Jumps up to 1178 for the core clock and 1329 for the boost. So very nice options here. Oh, this one's still here, is it? I think. Nope, sold out. Okay, so from the time it took me to start the show and put this up to now, it's sold out. But I already know that we're getting more in, so I apologize if you see a lot of the sold outs right now. Definitely set up like a price alert, and as soon as they pop up, they'll be available. But I think I should just jump into your first story here, Jenny.
I just kind of had a couple announcements. One of them is PC Gamer has a giveaway for 5,000 Steam keys for Dawn of War, and they've got a little scroll down. A little raffle thing that you enter your address, and then they're gonna pick 5,000 by raffle, so you can get the new Dawn of War for free. For free. Not steve@gmail.com.
I was trolling a little bit the stream. Like, oh, he's gonna type in his email. Oh, no, he didn't. Now there's gonna be somebody that got an email.
And then the other thing is that it is, if you guys are kind of newish viewers to Newegg TV, like haven't really watched much from us in the last year, I want you to go back and check out Yolk'd number 29, because it was Talk Like a Pirate Day, and today is a year from that, and this is, although my performance is a little stiff, but it was a long day, but I did all of the makeup and all of the costuming for this episode, and it was Talk Like a Pirate Day, and it's all of our favorite episodes.
Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to another rendition of Yolk'd.
Is the least liked Yolk'd. We got more dislikes on this.
I be the dread pirate Jerry X the Brown, and I be Captain Chassis Intrusion Alarm. We bid you good fortune and welcome as you've joined us today, and thank you for taking time away from the drinking of rum or the flogging of your seamen in order to be sharing with us all of the latest news that there be to have. Ahoy!
I just really want you to scroll
in days prior, me very own pirate party flew an unmanned camera-equipped vessel right up to Chancellor Angela Merkel at one of her campaign rally shindigs. The classy broad cracked a smile and seemed amused at such a sight, but her lad in black looked madder than a mermaid and...
When we used to do a segment called Take My Money...
Hold on, is it?
So until that day our beloved game comes to the PC, all we can hope for is that somewhere out there on the open sea is a console gamer whose system we can loot to play some GTA 5, yo-ho.
Brush my barnacles, you be watching Take Me Plunder. It's a pirate's life for me, mateys.
So here's Steve,
Commandeer in horseless carriage, running over blasted landlubbers. Assure yourself with the comfort of a thunderous dog.
I paused it. It's probably, if I can hear it in the other room, that is pretty loud. Yeah, it's muted, guys, sorry. But yeah, I'm a happy pirate, and I have water behind portals.
Did Paul say flog in the semen? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, he did. Yeah, check out Yolk'd number 29. Jenny, if you could put it in the link in the description, or in that. We'll put the link in the description too. So that's there.
But anyway, yeah, go over to the channel and they can just search Yolk'd 29 on our
check out Yolk'd. Search on the Googles. The Yolk'd 29 on the Neweggs.
They can go to Newegg.
Go to Newegg. Newegg NewTube.
NewTube.
Go to neweggnewtube.com/OMG I effed up.
Anyway.
How's your Friday going,
guys?
Mine's going okay. Hers,
we
not
really
so much.
enjoyed getting to be here for an hour with you today, and thank you so much for tuning in on the live show.
They're so quiet, though. It's like I'm hanging out with just a camera. It's really weird. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
So you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and also stay tuned for all the cool footage we've got from Game 24 and the release on the 980 and 970. Steve and I were very excited and happy to get to participate in that. So anyway, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week on Newegg TV.